Hello, my friends, and welcome to News of the Week. An Gardaí Síochána, which is the Irish police force, went to a judge last summer and asked to see Gript Media's DMs. The justification for it was that they were present at the Newtown Mount Kennedy protest, this big anti-immigration protest that happened last year. So the idea is, well, crimes were committed at this protest, so let's go into journalists' DMs to see what exactly? To see Ben Scanlon's dick pics he sends to his wife? Like, what does that have to do with it? Behind the scenes info? You know, it's like sources, like videos they didn't upload or evidence. It makes me feel weird in my chesty. So I'm going, okay, well, let's just all hope that the Gardaí aren't trying to intimidate Ireland's only independent media outlet. How about that's a good idea? How about that would be nice? Why is Irish journalism so conformist to like tepid, centre-left, government-approved? Why does that have to be the case? Is it because they're government funded? Even the actual story of the guards trying to spy on Gript's DMs, like no other news outlet even covered that story. And most politicians haven't mentioned it either. The reason why I don't want guards snooping in my DMs is because I commit hate crimes on WhatsApp. And before you really freak out at me here, let me justify this. The same is true for private jokes flaunted as evidence of racism and such. Caricature is a staple of humour, and however crude or unappealing it sometimes is, it reveals little or nothing about the actual behaviour of the humourists. This is written by George Gilder in his book Wealth and Poverty. It's an economics book. But the Irish establishment have kind of decided that actually that's not true, that you can't joke around. They've decided that jokes are a pipeline to genocide. Do you agree with that? Knock, knock, who's there? Adolf Hitler is here and he's ready to kill all the Jews. Ha ha ha, that's fantastic. Like, what does that even mean? Why does that mean that I'm Hitler now? Like, Ireland in the 60s was a building site. That's why women weren't allowed in the pubs. Because they start crying and go home. Because the humour was a little bit just edgy, normal, you know. And that's actually man's natural state of being. And when you rob that from him, it causes cancer. Instead of going like this, you start going like this, don't say it. What should I say? What is okay to say? And there's all this tension in the stomach. You get stomach ulcers and then stomach cancer. If you go into a library and you ask for like right-wing political books, you can't get them in a library which are state-funded. What I'm trying to say to you is that there's a certain state narrative, and anything the state touches has that narrative. The Abbey Theatre just refused a pro-Israel play. I don't know why they refused a pro-Israel play. And for private businesses, I go, refuse a pro-Israel play if you're pro-Palestine. Absolutely. You're a private business. But like, imagine if a publicly funded theatre wasn't politically neutral. Surely they have to be, because they're the taxpayer. Taxpayers of all beliefs are funding that fucking piece of shit. And there's a question now of like, does political neutrality fucking exist? There's an atmosphere of apprehension around freedom of speech in Ireland. And Ireland has like completely changed in the last 60 years, last 30 years. Our grandparents were religious, now we're secular. Our grandparents were poor, now we're rich. Our grandparents lived in a homogenous society, we live in a multicultural society. All of our grandparents, if you dug them up and if they were alive again, if they resurrected and they were walking around being themselves, they'd be in jail. They'd be far right. They wouldn't be able to get a job, like. They would have been very offensive. So it's like you could choose to trust the guards here, or you could choose to say, oh, maybe there's some ulterior motives going on. This doesn't smell right. And that's like up to you and your life experience, you know. But for me, like, I don't trust a lot of institutions now. And I used to be such a nice, fresh-faced, innocent boy. And I haven't done it because I'm on online forums or I played too many video games. I've changed because the world has shown me something different than what I was told I would see. And the only reason why we even know that the guards tried to snoop on journalists is because X told the journalists. The flippin' Irish establishment didn't. Are you kidding me? We shouldn't need to rely on an autistic South African environmentalist 5,000 miles away to maintain our freedom of press. Like, seriously, at this point, invite the British back. Like, what are we doing here? This sucks. Like, seriously. Let's just go back to 1990s MTV, like Jackass, like South Park, like Glen Rowe as well. Like, I'm not trying to take away your Glen Rowe. Like, I just want South Park. Yeah. You can have your Glen Rowe. I'm a liberal. But you can't, like, put Glen Rowe on TV and then I just say nothing. And then you go, what did you think about the Glen Rowe? And you go, it's not my thing. And you go, do you hate Glen Rowe? Do you hate people from the countryside? No, it's just shit. Like, it's a terrible show. But the writers were black transgender people. That's terrible what you've said. I can't believe it. Oh, God. Okay, I like Glen Rowe. You know, and then you just bubble up. And that kind of energy where you're forced to like Glen Rowe all the time produces cancer, and you shouldn't have to choose between having cancer and having a job. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm the normal one, and I feel like so many people agree with me, but I totally relate to being afraid. Like, I totally get it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching News of the Week. My heart goes out to you, and I'll see you soon.